Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for Teal Talk Tuesday. My name is Jessica Sanchez and I oversee the Relationship Violence and Sexual Assault Prevention Program here at UT Arlington. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, hashtag SAM. And y'all, I am so excited about this Teal Table Talk because this is a unique one that this will be the first time it's ever done. And what I mean by that is one of our amazing professors on campus is teaching essentially an independent study course on communication for human relations. And Dr. Grace Brannon is their name. And they're with us today, obviously here to support their students. But Dr. Brannon had reached out and was like, hey, I want to get my students involved. We want to do some type of almost like service learning project. How do we link up and make this happen? And during SAM, we're obviously maximizing on this virtual platform, right? But I was like, would your students be interested in doing a Teal Talk Tuesday? And so here we are. And I'm so excited for literally students to watch this, faculty and staff alike, and learn from our fabulous students in this class and the essentially mini lectures that we are going to get on relationship and sexual violence. So I am going to hand it off now to introductions, and we will start first with the awesome Dr. Grace Brannon.
Hi, I'm Dr. Grace Ellen Brannon. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm in the Department of Communication, assistant professor. And yeah, so this course is designed to teach students different elements related to human relationships and communicating within them and different components that go within to those processes. And so part of their presentations today are influenced by different things that we've learned in class and in talking about communicating sexually and talking about power and conflict and violence and that kind of thing. So as they're going through their presentations, I'm very excited to say that they developed these outlines on their own or led on their own through with some rounds of feedback from Ms. Sanchez and myself, as well as peer feedback. So I'm very, very excited to listen to all of these today. We're going to turn it over to them for their own self-introduction, starting with Joseph.
Hello, everybody. I am Joseph, and I'm real excited to get into this on consent. And I first have prepared a nice little video from YouTube. I'm going to share my screen. Oh. I believe so.
But I said yes.
You can change your mind, Saying yes once, twice, or even many times before doesn't mean it's a yes right now. Consent can be taken back at any time. It must be actively clear and never implied. It's not your fault.
But I said yes.
Hey, come on. My ex would do this with me, so why won't you? If you loved me, you would. Sexual coercion is when someone keeps asking after hearing no, or tries to turn your no into a yes. It's a form of sexual assault, and if you're not into it, it's not your fault.
But I said yes.
Nobody has the right to take advantage, even if you use drugs or alcohol. If you're passed out, you're not able to give informed consent. It's not your fault.
But I said yes.
Consent can never be given under pressure. If someone has given you an ultimatum, tricked you, or manipulated you, and you said the words yes, that's not consent. If you said yes, it's not your fault.
Okay. Sexual coercion is defined by Afifi, Guerrero, and Anderson as when an individual pressures or forces another to engage in sexual activity or generally unacceptable practices. Coercion relates to consent because if you've got to convince the other person to engage sexually with you and kind of talk them into it, it's not consent. Coercion is a huge problem in our world today, and it's especially a huge problem on college campuses. Over 50% of college women are subject to sexual coercion. It's also a big problem for the gay and bisexual men, and just mostly it's women as well are the most common targets. However, hetero men can be the target as well. As a study found that about 10% of the time, a hetero man is the target, with a woman being the coercer. And then 33% of college males say that they've been the target and being pressured into an unwanted sexual act. The most commonly used form of sexual coercion is verbal insistence. And so that is something like you saw in the video where the person may be saying, "Oh, come on, this is going to be fun," or this is what you want, or you said yes earlier, something like that, where the other person might be on the fence or totally not into it, and then the other person makes them feel like they have to do it, or that like I think that in the video it said, "If you loved me, you would." Like that is just very manipulative, and it's just a way that it can be very traumatic for the other person, who it's just putting somebody in their most vulnerable spot, and so a person might manipulate the other into engaging sexually with someone against their will at times, because it can turn physical, and acts like holding somebody down, or even verbally physical by yelling at the other person to make them convince, or just to convince them to engage, is another way that people can use sexual coercion.
And Joseph,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought, and because I appreciate you so much, like talking about coercion, because we do not talk about it enough. Just in general, it doesn't matter what age you are. We don't talk about it enough. So I appreciate you spreading awareness on this. One of the things that video where also, I mean, everything was cringeworthy in that video. The video does a great job, right, at providing us examples. But the one that made me cringe extra was that comment about, well, my ex did this. And we already know, especially within young adults, already the pressure of learning our bodies, right? And reconnecting with our bodies, because we know K through 12 sex education in America does not do a good job at educating and empowering us to know how to effectively communicate our needs and wants, how to be in a healthy relationship with someone else. And then, so you're already attempting, right, at this young age to engage in relationships. And then for someone to be able to add that extra layer of manipulation and pressure. Like you said, like I appreciate that you said manipulation and too, because it goes right along with coercion. But just having even a young adult hear that, right? Well, my ex did this, and that pressure automatically to be like, okay, well, I want to be better than your ex, right? Because I don't want you to I don't want to lose or have you break up with me. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because you were definitely deconstructing that video, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think when we grow up, we kind of are conditioned to be coercive by like trying to get what we want. Like that's a part of growing up, and so you're kind of taught that. Like maybe in middle school or high school, you want to get your grade changed, so you go to your teacher and try to put pressure on them to just change your grade. And where that seems like it's not a huge deal there, it just kind of can lead into other areas like when you're kind of in a sexual relationship, and then all of a sudden like there's no space to try to convince, and it has to be totally a mutual thing. And so kids are just kind of prone to that. And another thing that kind of brings it up, since we don't talk about it as much as we should, is the party culture, which just heightens the problem, because we get into young adults go to college, and it's kind of their first foray into independence and not having to check in with whoever is their guardians, or they're just kind of on their own for the first time, and there's more external pressures with drugs and alcohol. And I know that alcohol and drugs are present in their years in high school, and maybe even before that, but this is kind of a lot of people's first time having it so readily available. And so when you're on drugs, or you've been drinking too much alcohol, it really impairs your judgment. And so you could totally slip up, and it just takes that one time of making just a terrible decision, and not forcing, or could be forcing, but kind of pressuring another person into doing something they don't want to do. And and it's just that one action and that one time could have lifelong effects on the other person, as it's likely to be something they'll never forget.
Yeah, and you're absolutely speaking to what a lot of, especially first year incoming freshmen experience, y'all, when even if you're getting to live on campus, right? And like Joseph was saying, getting to have that autonomy back, even understanding what it feels like to have autonomy for the first time, because more than likely, the moment you came out the womb, someone was letting you know actually what was going to happen. They were picking what school you were going to. They were letting you know what clothing you were going to wear, what food you were going to eat, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, these young adults get to college campus, especially if they're living on campus, and they get to make all the decisions. But with that, y'all, we are all natural human beings that want community, right? And so there's a huge statistic, and we call it the red zone. At the beginning of every single semester, and really heightened in the fall semester, we call it the red zone in my office. The red zone says August through November, so basically the entire fall semester, sexual assault increases by 50% on a college campus because of what Joseph is describing. When we want community, right, we're going to go and hang out with new people. We're going to search for that community piece. A lot of that community tends to be around that party culture, right, where we have access to alcohol, we have access to drugs, and maybe it's our first time experimenting with that, right? And so therefore, we have no clue what our tolerance is for our body. We have no clue how our body is going to react to said substance, right? I always tell my students, no matter what, alcohol or any type of substance does not go with consent. They don't mix. They simply do not mix, right? All right, Joseph, I'm letting you finish it from here.
Okay. Now, what can be done to limit these sexual coercion is just understanding that no means no, and don't second guess the other person's reasoning for saying no. Even if they said yes before, like in the video, and then they changed their mind, that is a totally just not consent. It's just not something that they're wanting to do. And so that all you can do is stop and go on to something else. And then there's moments where stop sometimes doesn't always mean stop in some relationships. As the relationship progresses, there could be some more